Hello and welcome, you amazing humans. Welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where I'll take you on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions, and like you, I want answers. I'd like to say hi to everyone in the live chat here today. We got Zero Cool, Curious George, Distorted Reality, Case for Infinity, Deborah, Zofa. How is everyone doing today? Rusty Pack. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of people going here today. I also want to say hi to all the moderators that are here to help out in the show. You guys are amazing, and I cannot do it without you. And anyone that is new, welcome to the channel. Today's topic is one with a very old history that could even be traced back to ancient Egypt. I'm referring to the projection of an energetic body known as the astral body out of the physical body. We'll be looking at that and the phenomenon of near death experiences where witnesses likewise find themselves outside of their physical body, observing events and situations that they shouldn't be able to. So let's go on with the show. And with that, let me bring in my extra special guest, Mr. Jimmy Church from Fade to Black. Hey, Jimmy.
I'm stretching.
I thought you were showing your guns.
No. How you doing, Christina? What's
You
going
get,
on?
you got Smith and Wesson.
Oh, yeah, right. oh, oh, man. So, yeah, I'll answer that. When I was in high school, my freshman year in high school, I was on the wrestling team for one year. My weight, I wrestled. I was 5'10", 118 pounds.
My gosh, that's so thin.
118 pounds. Yeah, I got guns. Yeah, right. So anyway, yeah, I got thrown around, and that was not a fun experience. I've always been really, 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 really skinny. I could never, if I worked out or lifted weights, it did nothing. I got skinnier. I did the opposite.
No.
So I just gave up. I gave up. I'm just
Oh, I bet. My freshman year in high school, I did track and field because I wanted to be like my dad, and I regretted it every single day. I think I complained to my coach every day. I'm like, man, I hate running. I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, well, and speaking of astral projection, I got into running, and because I didn't have to worry about putting on muscle, and I really enjoyed running, but that was probably my first taste of weirdness, like something out of body. And there's for me, it happens in two instances, but one. I used to run these great distances, and we had this place next to our house. It was called the Causeway. Went out into the Panama Canal, about 3.5 miles one way, 3.5 miles back from my house, and I would do that all the time, run it. And I would get about a mile into it, and then this zone would hit, and I dug it. And the further I ran, the more my mind was like outside of my head. I didn't really know what was going on, and runners and athletes talk about this a lot, but I stumbled upon this by myself, and I really dug this dreamy thing where I would be running and I almost wouldn't see the ground anymore, and I wouldn't hear myself or see things. I would go into deep thought and outside of my head. And that is a part of, I think it's the stress that your brain is going through. There's things that are happening chemically in your body when you go through these exercises like this for a long time. But I would get into it, and I would look forward more to the mind leaving this zone, this zen that you get into, more than the exercise itself, knowing that there was no way I could stop it. Right? I would get to this certain point, and then, poof, off my head would go. And it's a crazy thing. And so when we look at what history is, um, and speaking about this, I think that we all have the ability to do it, and how we practice it and how we get there. It's different for everybody, but I think it's part of reality. How about you?
Absolutely.
Well, how
And
about you? Have you had the moment of the mind, your soul, your astral projection leaving your body?
well, hopefully we're gonna get into that, but I first kind of want to jump into the history and maybe we can kind of talk more about personal experiences. Mine are nothing that interesting. I'll just lay it out there. But when I was researching the topic of astral projection and near death experiences, I'd read about how in Egypt, the ka was not the soul of man, but its vehicle. So in modern works, it's also differentiated that the soul is different from the astral body. So there are references in the Quran, in the Hindu scriptures, and in Taoist works and practices. What do you know or think about that?
Well, the the evidence is there clearly, and not only mythology in writing and folklore and practices and teachings that have been handed down for millennia. I think that every culture on the planet, starting with, well, not starting with, but you can see a central uh, thing happening in the Bible, for sure. But you're right. It is Egypt. It is Hinduism, Asian cultures, Japan, China, even the Inuit cultures here in far North America and Alaska. They have all talked about some version of the ability of us to leave our body and to go somewhere else. And I think it is there. What is more exciting for me, what I have found out, is that today, even though, and we'll get into this, even though ayahuasca is and DMT is something that is talked about all over the place today, and Graham Hancock and others, Terrence McKenna, have talked about this, that there is a place where we can go, and our physical body is here, but our soul, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is somewhere else, seeing, talking, interacting, and then coming back with this information from another place. And I think it's very, very strong. I think the evidence is clear.
I mean, here's the thing: if multiple locations, such as religion, mythology, all of types of ancient scriptures, talk about it, how can you really push it away as fiction when so many parts of the world are kind of leading to the same kind of understanding of what astral projection is, or also near death experiences, which are similar but still somewhat different? I would like to say thank you for the super sticker by Deranged Lunatic, aka DL. Thank you so much. And talking about this, because there is a difference, and I'm happy that someone brought that up. There is a difference between out of body experiences, astral projection, and remote viewing, but in a sense they're kind of all similar, but they
Oh,
have different attributes. With astral projection, I think I really want to start on that because I feel like that is, from what I was reading, and I was combing through books this morning and yesterday on the topic, and consistently reading from doctors and from experiencers and from researchers as well. They were saying that astral projection is possible for anyone, regardless of your background, your age, whatever you might research on the topic. It's possible for anyone. You can either do it consciously or unconsciously, controlled or spontaneous.
right.
And with astral projection, again, from what I've read, that how it might be different from near death experiences is people that leave their body, they're not entering in, well, what they say is that they're entering in an astral body, which is very similar. It's very similar to their physical body, except it's not. And they're saying that there is a cord that connects between their body and their astral body. So they're able to travel wherever they want to, because it seems like the astral plane is practically endless, based off of the stories. But either, no matter how far you travel, somehow there's going to be a cord connecting your body to your astral body, I guess, so that maybe you don't get lost or something like that. And I found that really interesting. And I couldn't
You
really
need to get
find,
back, right?
yeah, like I couldn't really find a definite answer onto why people see a cord between their body and their astral body.
Yeah, and now, and since we're going in this direction, I think that we have two clear definitions of astral projection and what they are, because traditionally, it has been rooted in you're going to places that were more about fantasy and imaginary. The words that I want to use are like, uh, well, you have heavens, you have other worlds, and you have these,
Realms.
yeah, dreamy places, right? And that even going through the Madame Blavatsky and some the Golden Dawn and some of the things that were happening at the turn of the century. Um, Sometimes I get tongue tied, and you know what I'm talking about.
I
And
do.
so we have that, and then today, I think it has developed into just meaning the ability to go anywhere in the universe, right? And whether it's Chicago, the moon,
The
another
dark side of
galaxy,
the moon.
yeah, whatever. Uh, but it's not necessarily fairies, demons, ghost, and hell, right? It's
Right.
these fantasy type situations to actual physical places and being there and seeing, interacting, and then coming back with information that you have gathered there. So when we talk about astral projection today, I don't think people are thinking about rainbows and unicorns and or angels, right? That we're actually talking about physical reality and being able to do that in this how do I say this, in this existence, in this realm, our reality. And that I find very, very fascinating. And then when you throw in DMT and ayahuasca, that reality is back into a dreamscape and not necessarily something that you can relate to the reality that we are in here.
Absolutely. And with all of that, I saw countless books that even help people to understand how to even astral project, either through lucid dreaming,
Mhm.
possibly also through certain kinds of drugs as well. But all of them said that you need to enter the hypnagogic state in
Yep.
order to astral project. So
Yep.
for those that might not know how to do this, from all the books that I've read, and for anyone that wants to practice, I mean, go for it. But it seems like the body needs to remain asleep while the consciousness is awake. So it kind of leads you to the possible conclusion that the astral body, it could maybe be your consciousness or carrying your consciousness out of the body. But then
Right.
it leads to so many more questions. Well, is consciousness physical or is it not? What is it? And that's kind of where my mind went when I was trying to research this. I'm like, wow, these are such great questions. But all of the things that I read said that you need to enter the hypnagogic state, and you can do that through relaxation, through meditation, or under substances as well. But I mean, specific kind, not the crazy stuff.
Right, right. Now, again, we spider web out, right? Okay, so meditation comes through practice, right? You're not, and that the shortcut, right? I've never meditated, man, but I've smoked DMT, right? So you can do the shortcut through DMT or ayahuasca and get to this place probably, and I get that. Meditation. Okay, so I'm going to go right back to meditation. Ayahuasca or DMT, which I have not done. I probably will at some point, but I haven't done it. But that is a controlled environment. You have a shaman, you have people, you do it right, and that's a controlled environment. Meditation, on the other hand, is, through my own experience, is uncontrollable. Okay. Ayahuasca or DMT is going to have a start and an end. Right. So that that's it. Meditation, and the one time, and I'm not going to get into the details, but the one time where I accidentally went into that state and got pulled in, I couldn't stop it. And I didn't dig that. And it
Did
was uncontrollable. And I clearly had this one time, I went somewhere, and I remember when I came back from it, and I don't know exactly how long it was. I was with a group of people, and we were all doing the same thing, and boom, I just, whoa. And when I came out of it, and I'm not going to say what happened or anything like that. That's my own personal journey. But I said to myself, holy crap, this is real. Like, this is what people are talking about. This is getting to that state. This is going there. This is what meditation is about. And it scared me. I don't know if I, want to get to that state, to leave my body and have my mind be uncontrollable. I really didn't dig it. And I know that there are a lot of practitioners and teachers and teachings out there that guide you to get to this state and to go and astral project and go places, maybe even time travel. I don't have that kind of patience. I don't have that kind of self uh, self control to meditate every day. I'm not going to sit and sage out my room and play a whale singing music in the background and go into a Zen state. No, and I just don't have that kind of discipline. But so that's what we're talking about, right? These two different abilities. And once I experienced it and I saw what I saw, I realized that it's this is something that is real. That is something that people achieve through different ways of types of meditation, but it is something that science needs to look into. I think it is real.
And science has been looking into it since the 1970s. We also have the Monroe Institute that's also looked into it. But before we get into depth on that, I would like to say thank you for Dan Roach for the super sticker. Thank you so much. And Akashi Chris has a great question. Let me find it. And thank you so much. It says, do you have any thoughts on the Akasha and access to the Akashic records? Seems very similar. Great show. Love to both. Thank you. Do you want to go first on that one, Jimmy?
Yeah, the account. Okay, so now we're getting into a little bit. This is where the things kind of blend over.
It
Uh,
does.
an NDE and a near death experience and the exposure to the Akashic records. I would say that yes. Uh, I think that everything is related when we get into this zone. I have so many thoughts on the Akashic records. We can do an entire show on that and what it means. But the Akashic records, in a basic definition, just imagine a server farm for Google, right?
Mhm.
Amazon, a massive warehouse with hard drives racked to the ceiling and all lit up, constantly being updated and overwritten about you. Everything that you have ever done and everything that you could do and every possibility that is possible is there. And that's the Akashic records. And I've always wondered about this. I've heard different takes on this and interviewed many specialists on the subject. But that's visually what I always come back to, like a card file, right? Big file cabinets, big things, and constantly being updated and being to go back and do a life review, the possibilities of the future, and exposing yourself to the Akashic records now in our 3D existence. And being, when I say 3D, right, this now that we are in, and being able to astral project, meditate, and go out and expose yourself to the Akashic records. Many that have had near death experiences say that's one of the first things that happened, was they had a total life review and the possibilities of free will into the future, with the Akashic records. And then others that go and access it now, for their own self growth.
Yeah, I was gonna say some things that were pretty similar to that, and I've come across references to the Akashic records in a bunch of books and articles, but I haven't looked into it super deeply, and maybe as you have. But it seems to me that what I've read is that it's in a realm that exists outside of our samsara cycle realm. Like it's not in our 3D universe, like you said, but in a dimension all on its own, because it wouldn't make sense for all of this collection of data to be in our realm. I don't think it could simply hold all that information, and it contains all the knowledge of space and time. So to me, it
All of it.
sounds, but
Yeah.
see, to me, it sounds kind of like the Library of the Time Lords, or like the Shadow Proclamation from Doctor Who. And so that's kind of what I think about when I looked into it briefly.
Well, because it's all the same. And if you're a writer on a show, why not? You know, they do this all the time. So go and study the Akashic records, get fascinated with it, and bring it into the show and call it something else. Okay, all right, but yeah, you're right about that. I was just reading. This is from, I think it's J.M.E. Patton. He says, "Why can some people astral project and others not?" Or he no, actually, a small amount of people have said that they can astral project. I look at it this way. Okay, all right. I'm going to give everybody a little school of Jimmy here. Okay, I've spoken about this before. I've this is what I do. I haven't read this in a book. I haven't been taught this by somebody or told. No, but this is what I do. Don't practice it now because we need to get through the show. But this,
Priorities.
but this is what I do. As I am desiring to go to sleep, right? My head's on a pillow. Okay. I picture in my mind's eye a house. And for some reason, it's black and white, the whole scene. House is yellow. This works for me. You can try the same thing. But on the side of this house is a window, and the window is open. And the window is black and it's dark inside. And I walk up to the house. I get up to the window, put my arms on the ledge, and start to climb in. That's what I do. And it takes a while to climb through the window. You just don't climb through the window. But by the time you climb through the window, it's instant. You're somewhere else. And that's what I do. And I am able to project my dream state at that point in any direction that I want to go in. Okay. All right. I want to repeat a dream. There's a place I want to go to. There's a thing. And is this astral projection? It's probably the same thing. But this is what I do. And I am able to go into any realm of thought that I want to. And it takes a little bit. You don't just walk up to the window and jump through and boom, you're in that state. It's a mental exercise that you're going through to get to climb through the window. But when you do, and if anybody is doing it right now in the chat room, they're going to be gone. They're not going to be able to post a question because they're going to be out. But that's what I do. And so tonight, tomorrow, think about what I just said and get back to me. Just try it. Let me know what happens.
I would quickly like to address some super chats. Thank you so much, Jonaside. It says, "Hey, did Jimmy get a haircut? Looking good there. Seriously." And I mean, did you get a haircut, Jimmy?
I did.
Oh, it looks snazzy.
Thank
And
you
then
that just makes me feel so special. It was worth it.
and Inquire Within, thank you. It says, "Listening to the both of you talk gives me an out of body experience. Great stuff as always." Thank you, Inquire.
Yeah, right on, Inquire. Good friend. That's a good dude right there.
And JME, thank you so much as well, which luckily Jimmy did address first.
What
Which
the
is good.
heck was that? That was an astral projection. What?
It's ghosts.
What was that?
Shadow people, man.
Man, that was. Did everybody see that? I got to see the chat room. I jumped. It was nuts.
Thank you to everyone. And I was also
Your
when I was
had a lot better than I did.
back to what you said about what you use to astral project. There are, for those that are interested, again, there are a ton. Okay. All right, well, I'm just getting messy now, but there are a ton of books that kind of help others to understand how to deal with a bunch of different techniques. So to anyone that is interested in doing it, I recommend. I mean, I wouldn't say I recommend it because I haven't really dived too deep into it until recently when doing all this research. But I think it's worth looking into because, in a sense, all of everything that we're learning on this show with Mysteries with the History or Shifting the Paradigm, it all kind of blends in together, and somehow we can have this conversation lead up to the UFO phenomenon because somehow all this could possibly be connected as well. For instance, people like to ask, are UFOs interdimensionals? And there have been cases when people are astral projecting or having a near death experience or having an outer body experience. They encounter their loved ones, they encounter what they believe to be angels or their guides or protectors or other entities. They could very well be aliens as well if you believe that aliens are interdimensionals, because angels, they're not in our realm. If you believe that in the Bible, demons, they have their own realm. And if we look at it like that, then it's very possible that these people that we might see, these entities, could be classified as UFOs and not human because they're no longer living, I guess, with us.
Sure, of course. Yeah. Whitley Strieber talks about this all the time. It's a big part of what the book Communion is about. And I think that when you see the cover of Communion, and I don't want to do too much of a segue here, but you look at the cover of Communion and where we are today with what the grays look like, and think that we assume that Communion is about alien abduction, and it may be. I don't even think Whitley has all of those answers. But if you read Communion and you listen to Whitley today, he says, I don't know. I don't know for sure. But I think that there's a very strong NDE afterlife aspect to Communion, and who the others were that Whitley encountered. I think that he, not as fact or not with evidence, but I think his own experiences are pointing him in the direction that the others may be us in the afterlife. Right. And that is just a fascinating thing. And if you go down that road, it then lines up with all of the mythology from every culture going back thousands of years. Okay. And before we get further into NDE, I also want to comment on one of the aspects of, going through the window, right? That I was talking about earlier. that the Japanese have a basic concept, and I'm not saying that every Japanese citizen has these beliefs, but this is something that goes back a long ways, and that is this: to astral project, you go into that state and you project yourself into a pearl. Now, pearls, right? That's part of Japan, and things in the sea and the ocean, and pearls, and right. Okay, so the pearl is the vessel for their mythology on this, but it's getting yourself into something, and in this case, it's a pearl, and then the pearl can take you anywhere. Your body stays, but the pearl goes into somebody else's house, goes and confronts somebody, has, but goes on, and then comes back, and then you come back out of the pearl and into your body, and then you're all cool. Very similar to what I am suggesting with the open window. Get through that window, and then after that, everything opens up. So there you go. I wanted to get back into that before we move forward. Back to NDEs, though. Are they similar? The science is going to say, Christine, and I want your opinion on this. Science is going to say that consciousness and a near-death experience, and coming back to that is nothing but chemistry. It's the brain firing off, and certain things. Your body produces DMT, adrenaline kicks off. Your body is shutting down. Your brain is trying to survive. It's freaking out. All these things fire off. Your neurons are just being electrocuted, and you just fly into this state, and it's crazy town. You see crazy town, and then all of a sudden somebody's giving you CPR, right? Clear, right, and you're brought back to life, but you remember the chaos that was happening with the DMT and every other chemical in your body, and adrenaline, and what your brain was doing to survive, and your brain is freaking out. Oh no, the body's shutting down. Is this the end? Right? But you remember that. Now, that's what science is going to say is going on. That consciousness is just chemistry. Your soul is just chemistry. I clearly do not believe that is the case.
I did end up reading into that, and I went into that aspect on what scientists believed when it came to that. And what you said, it seemed, because from when I was reading in multiple books, that one was kind of more a theoretical option to why, or to how they explained these experiences. But in 1974, there was a psychiatrist who went ahead and actually went to study people that underwent out-of-body experiences and measured their brain waves, and it seemed like that simply wasn't the case. Their neurons in the brain and all these electrical impulses simply did not meet the requirements that would possibly relate to such as death anxiety. So I feel like that's a little bit more theoretical, what people would probably lean into, because it's possibly more rational. But there were some other things that scientists said in the past, that mental health professionals believed that OBEs were symptoms of mental illness related to severe disorders such as disassociation, ego splitting, and a high level of death anxiety, which I just covered, along with autoscopy. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this is a hallucination of an image of a duplicate self outside the actual physical self, perceived from the physical self. So, but however, this doesn't really fit the definition of an outer body experience, because during an OBE, the consciousness and senses are located outside the physical body. When in this case, for autoscopy, and I'm saying that right, it's merely a hallucination, and they don't feel like like sorry, they don't feel as if what they're seeing is not them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead, they think it's a duplicate. Oh, and I want to say thank you to Hard Candy for the super chat. It says, "Hey, I ordered a fade to black T-shirt like 2 months ago. Maybe he didn't get it."
Well, what I do, and thank you for the donation, Hard Candy. What I do, I walk around like in the bunker, right? Like right now in the bunker, I just walk around with fade to black T-shirts. I keep them in my hand, and I'm just look. This is this one here is signed to Hard Candy. So that one will become not this one, but this one. But these, and so I'm constantly, I'm walking around, filling, postage, and I'm licking stamps, and I have to handwrite everything out, and so that's all I do all day long is try to catch up on that. So there you go, Hard Candy. It's there somewhere. So,
Aw.
but this is the thing, and I saw this earlier. Oh, man, this new haircut. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
I think it makes you look young.
Yeah, but the thing is now it's too short. It used to be really, 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 really long. Now it's only about a foot. But so it's too short now to stay in my headphone, and it falls down, and it just bothers me. So that's why I'm constantly. Is this? And I saw the post from somebody earlier. Christina, you got to ask Jimmy about his near death experience in the hospital.
Yes, when you were writing music.
Yeah, and now I'm not sure if it was the definition of a near death experience. I didn't know. After I was unconscious for about 4 days, and so I'll get back to that part. I was unconscious, and when I came out, I was in the hospital for about a month. This was at the beginning when I was first brought in. I was really sick, obviously, and after about a week, I making friends with on the floor of the hospital that I was on. I was the only one that was 20 years old, long hair, and friggin' cool. Everybody else was like old. And so anyway, the nurses would stop by and hang out and talk to me, and I had a guitar in there and stuff. There's one nurse, her name was Tiny, and because she was tiny, a little black nurse, and she was probably her early 20s. She goes, "Okay, I'm not supposed to tell you this." I said, "What? What's going on?" She goes, "You really scared us." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You kept going and coming and going." I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" She said, "Your temperature was going, from 103 down to 94 in an hour, and this was going on 24 hours a day, and I've said too much. I can't say anything else." So I'm like, what are you trying to say? Well, so now I'm going to back up. While that was going on, this is what I remember. I was sitting at a table in a giant black space. It could have been a room. I don't know. I don't remember a floor or ceiling or walls. It was all black. But there was like a light above me, and there was a table, and I had sheet music, and I was writing sheet music out, and I could hear the orchestra playing the music as I'm writing it. And I am happy. And I did this for 4 days, and the music was incredible, and I was just I don't know how to write music, right? Not like that. Well, anyway, and so when I came out of this, and I there was a priest next to me, and he's reading a Bible, and my eyes just like pop open, right? Bing. I'm now. I don't know where I'm at. I'm looking around. It's a hospital room. I don't understand. I see the TV, the bed, but I have no clue. And I look over, and he jumps. Oh, and I was like, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Oh man, oh, oh, oh." you're back. I was like, what? Where am I? And he's hitting a button, calling in the doctors, and they all come running in. I'm like, what's going on? And he was just reading the Bible out loud. I was like, man, what is going on? And so they are poking and prodding me and doing this and doing that. And all I am thinking to myself is, I want to go back. I want to go back. I want to go back to where I was. I'm not digging this right now. And I was in this beautiful place. So I shut my eyes. I'm like clicking my heels, just, I want to go back. I want to go back. And I never did. I never got back to that place. I've never dreamt about it. I remember it, but I've never been able to go back to that place. So did it involve the Akashic records? No, negatory. Did I see the white light at the end of the tunnel? No. Did I astral project? I think that I did. I think that I was out of my body the whole time. I saw myself sitting at this table for 4 days. Well, it seemed like forever. It turned out to be 4 days. Did I see God? Did I see the baby Jesus? Did I see angels? Did I have a life review? Did I have this panchromatic, no, none of that happened to me. And that's my experience. And it was crazy. It was crazy. I tried so hard, Christina. I tried so hard. I was there long, and it was so fresh in my mind. And every time that I went to sleep, I tried to go back to that place, and I never did. And it was real. It was bizarre.
And that's an incredibly common side effect, it seems like, in a lot of these types of outer body experiences, especially near death experiences, where they enter a location or a realm that was so incredibly blissful, that was so fantastic, that they always want to go back. And in many cases, those that end up coming back to this plane, they're told by another entity that we don't know who it is, says, well, you have things to do and it's not your time yet. And that seems like a very, very common factor that just happened to you as well. Deborah Levine says, thank you so much, by the way. It says, Jimmy, since your experience writing music in coma state, have you had that happen since in dream states?
Well, I just kind of answered that. I never got that back. I've tried, and I wanted to say this. I didn't see myself like in the first person. It wasn't my eyes looking at my hands writing the music. I was like behind myself, sitting at this table, and I was there, and I could see the light, coming down on me on this table. But I wasn't like, in the first person, that point of view of my eyeballs. No. And again, I've tried to go back. No. I have no idea what the music was. I remember trying to remember it so I could maybe recreate it. No, it's just forever gone. Haven't been able to get back.
Jamie says, and thank you. It says, I'm very good at knowing what I am in a dream, and I always search for a mirror. And every time I find one, it's not my face in the mirror. One soul, many people, perhaps. This is a thing that I've also read in multiple books when it comes to lucid dreaming, especially when it comes to lucid dreaming to enter astral projection, is looking at a clock to see if it's consistent, looking at your hands multiple times to see if you have like extra fingers or something, or like no fingers, and also looking into mirrors, because it seems like your conscious mind, right, when you're in a sleep state, it can't replicate it exactly to how you remember it, which I find that a bit odd. But this is a pretty prevalent tip for many people that want to access astral projection through lucid dreaming.
And
I think that's a good point.
Is it Jamie? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what he said a little bit earlier. I read it.
Jamie. Okay, Jamie. I don't know. Look, I don't know that trying to find a mirror and looking at yourself in a dream is a good idea. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems right. I mean, do
It's a
you
little.
want to? Is there? Um, okay, so it goes back to that movie Inception a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see
I was thinking.
yourself in a mirror, right? Inside of a dream. Do you want to go into, do you want to sleep in your dream and go into another dream, right? Do you want to do that? I don't think these concepts are a good idea. I don't. And I, I'm not speaking out of experience. I'm speaking out of fear. Right?
I
And
mean, it's not something I've practiced either, but a big thing for me is when I was younger, I always had a really big fear of looking at a mirror at night because I watched the movie Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy, and when he saw himself in the mirror, he was like a skeleton and like zombie-ish.
right.
And ever since then, I have like this innate fear of looking in the mirror at night. But I guess when it comes to dreams, it might be different just because you have more control, right? Because it's happening in your mind.
Haunted Mansion was a good movie, by the way.
So good.
So good.
So good.
So good. Not talked about enough. The beginning is a great setup when the family arrives at the house, and it just takes off from there.
I mean, everyone's character is on point.
It's a good movie, but this is. I want to go back to how we started this show today. Do you meditate?
I do.
Okay, so you go there.
I do.
Okay. Do you astral project? Would you consider that astral projection?
I would not classify meditation as astral projection. From books that I have not had the privilege to astral project yet, but from what I have read, you're kind of able to get a sensation of when you're exiting the body. You get like this kind of vibration or like this humming feeling inside of you right before your body exits. Right before your astral body exits your physical body. There have been moments where I like kind of got there, but then I realized I wasn't breathing and it woke me up in an instant. I'm like, oh my gosh, instant panic, which really sucks. But I haven't been able presently to astral project.
But isn't this ancient Indian Hindu Mahabharata? I just said that wrong. The all of those ancient writings, yoga.
Mahabharata.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. All of these practices are about achieving your consciousness, your soul, leaving your body and going someplace else. Isn't that the ultimate situation with meditation? You know, I think the beginning parts of meditation. Again, I don't meditate. I'm scared of it. But is to center yourself, find yourself, calm yourself, clear your head. Okay. Two. Okay, so that's the beginning. That's the baby steps. To ultimately uh, to leave your body and to go someplace else. I think that's the goal of meditation and yoga.
There are a lot of different aspects to meditation from what I've read, and depending on which school you follow, right? Because you can have, there's all different types. But I think the overall biggest reason to why people meditate is to not only calm the mind, but I think to realize that we are so much more than this physical body. And to be, hopefully for many people that practice this is to for those that do it for a more religious purpose, to enter a state of mind that is a more pure state of mind. This is I don't know too much about it. I do practice meditation, but for many people that do it for a religious reason is to enter samadhi, which is a pure state of mind, kind of like a God state.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah Levine says, and thank you again. It says, "Cue from the elf, Pat. Is it true eating one of Jimmy's famous kebabs will give you an OBE?"
Men have died, countries have fallen for my kebabs.
Did
It's a
did
fact.
Stephen Bassett have some of your kebabs?
He just had a pretty gnarly steak. But we went all in, Bassett and I. That was a great meal. But yeah, they've many have had out of body experiences while eating my grilling techniques. So, um,
I like the modesty.
but they're hey. It's not really ego if it's fact. Is that I am convinced
Mhm.
that science used to say, I don't think they say this so much anymore. There's too much going on. But science used to say that there's no evidence of astral projection. And so you can say that in 1930, you can say that in 1920, you can say that in 1940, before the accumulation of the world's knowledge started to
Right.
come into play, and we started to learn more about not only other cultures, but other cultures' deep, fascinating history. So when we are talking about uh, uh, the Japanese, the Chinese, Hindu, North American, our own indigenous cultures here, going all the way up to the Inuit, which came from northern Asia and Siberia across the Bering Strait. Everything is connected. And we start to find out that every single one of these cultures talked about leaving their body for whatever reasons and going and checking out something, collecting that information, coming back and sharing it with their friends or their entire community. And you start to look at it, science has got to take a step back. Meanwhile, and go, there's something going on here. Meanwhile, we look at South America, we look at Peru and the Amazon and the jungles and Ecuador, and start to speak to these shamans where for 1,000 years they've been taking what they call the medicine, and they go and meet the goddess. And this medicine, I'm specifically talking about ayahuasca, where you have two or three plants that mean nothing to each other, but when combined, cause a chemical reaction in your stomach where DMT is then produced, and you go into an astral projection into another reality.
Mhm.
How did ancient shamans know about a recipe like this to go and achieve these states? Then science looks at this, and that's fascinating in of itself. But then you go and learn about the experience of the people that have gone on these ceremonies and what they have come back and reported, and then you see the similarities not only to all of the cultures around the world but to the near death experience. And then we find out that DMT is already in our body, that that ayahuasca is just causing a chemical reaction to make these things happen. Wait a minute here. This has been going on for a long time. And now science, I don't think, is as comfortable today as saying that there is no evidence, and also that there must be something else to consciousness than just a chemical reaction in our brains. And that's where we are today. I think science needs to take a hard look at how astral projection happens. Is this a possibility of going into another dimension? Is this what happens with the near death experience and DMT? And is this other place real? And is it what cultures have called heaven? Right? And that goes to it doesn't matter if you're Buddhist or Hindu, Islam, Catholic, Christian. All of these cultures talk about the same exact thing, Christina. I'm fascinated with it, and I do believe that there's something to it. I really do.
There are so many facets to it, and like you said, I really do hope scientists do look deeper into it. But there has been some research on that. Hopefully, we can talk about it in a little bit. But we're quickly going to go into an intermission, so stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Micah Hanks, and let me tell you something. I support Cristina Gomez as a Patreon subscriber, and here's why you should too. She brings all of her unique insights to a whole new generation, and all while she's also going through college. Listen, support Cristina, become a Patreon subscriber today. You won't regret it.
And Micah Hanks is going to be here tomorrow for Shifting the Paradigm at 2:30. And we are going to be talking about the others, those non-human intelligences and cryptids that are encountered. Jimmy, of course, you are invited if you want to come and talk to Mr. Hanks if you have the time at 2:30.
I'm busy. Dental appointment.
Oh,
Impacted
nice.
tooth. Yeah.
Really?
Root canal. No, but I'm still busy.
Just tell me.
Hi, I'm Micah Hanks, and I support Cristina Gomez. That was pretty good, huh? That was good. That was good. That was good. When Mike is on your show tomorrow, are you on his show or is he?
No, he's going to be on this show.
This one.
This one.
Right here.
Right here, right now, but not right now, but tomorrow.
You got to have him do one of two things. Maybe he'll do both. Maybe he will grace. Get him to do George Norrie or Alex Jones.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. I watched him. He's done it many times on the show. We got to get back to NDEs. Micah, I'm watching him on my screen over here doing Alex Jones. The audience can't see him. Only I can see him, but they can hear him. They think he's Alex Jones. They really do. And that's great. But for him to get to the level of Alex Jones, right, to do this convincing thing, I'm watching it, the blood veins are bursting and they're just, and he gets so, I'm like, whoa, dude. It's like it's the Antichrist, man. And he just, this thing, he's possessed. And it's awesome. And what you hear is Alex Jones. But it's this method acting, man. He's got to get into the spirit of it.
When you say method acting, it reminds me of the TV show Lucifer. Everyone thought he was a method actor, but he was actually the devil. Oh, such a great show. April, thank you so much. It says smash that like button and share it because this is a very interesting topic that I think more people need to be talking about. It's an interesting one, and it bleeds into so many other topics.
It does. It does. It does. It does. Now, I don't want this to. I know you want this to slide on by, and you're hoping that Jimmy, in my oldness, is just going to let my senility kick in, and I'm going to forget, and you can take advantage of that and stuff. No, it's not going to happen. Have you astral projected? Yes or no?
No, and I did answer this question. I don't know if you remember.
Do you want to astral project?
I think it's a great opportunity to be able to experience something like that and to understand those that have already done it. Because while we're on that, I wrote this down. There, for people that have astral projected or even had any kind of outer body experience, they believe that there are quite a few benefits to it that I think are really interesting. First one is obviously having that firsthand experience to explore anything and everything that is possible, not just on Earth, but it could be all throughout space and time, which is very interesting. It also states that for those that believe in reincarnation, it is very possible to remember past lives. And I was like, well, that's really cool. Then you can identify reason for experience. And it says, we may even recall the plan of action or the purpose for this life and why we are here. Because a lot of us have that really big question. Why are we here? What the heck are we doing? We're just going to die and rot in the ground. What's the point? And it says here that through having an outer body experience or multiple, you can get that kind of closure to hopefully understand why these things are. One of my favorite ones is flight. I think as kids, all of our superpower wants to be to learn how to fly. Mm-hmm. And if you can fly in this state, I mean, that's awesome.
Right.
Light's freaking amazing. Another one is being able to meet guides, angels, protectors, or helpers, which can also lead to learning. It says that in these other realms, you're able to access information that you simply cannot access on this plane right here, right now, but it is very possible to maybe even bring them over here. So I thought that was a really interesting one. And I would like to quickly say it's also good for your overall being as well. And John has a question or a super.
Well, you see what Christina did there? See, she thought she could get us off of the questions.
No, no, no. I
Here's what-
said
wait,
no.
here's what-
I have not astral projected. I
I'm-
want to. Here are some great things that can come from it from those that have experienced astral projection. Another one being psychic abilities. Could you
See,
imagine
she did it again.
telekinesis?
She's trying. She's trying. She's trying. So let's swing this back. I'm not going to let this go.
Okay, okay. But
So,
I answered your question.
but who says I was finished? Is this
Okay.
if you were to astral project, right? And you said it seems like a good idea, and you would like, what would be your goals for doing it? Would you want to go somewhere else? Do you want to go and visit somebody's home or business or school?
I mean, I would like to go to Europa and look under the ice
Oh, see, now that's the most
and
honest thing you've
other
said all day.
planets.
That I would do the same thing. We could do it together.
You know what? Why not?
I
Let's
would
go.
I would love to go to Europa. That is one of the one of the
One of the most possible planets that could
well,
maybe hold life.
it's because of it's Arthur C. Clarke. I'm just going to come out and say it. It's Arthur C. Clarke. It's 2001 and 2010, the second movie, the second book. And what he suggested about Europa 60 years ago, 50 years ago, which absolutely came to pass and is true. And there are reasons to go and check out Europa today. And that's it's funny that you say that because Europa, I think, is the place to go. I mean, it's close and it might be happening. So I would go to Europa. And before we get to John's question, 35
Thank you.
ducks, 35 smackaroos.
Thanks, John.
Ducks quack in the pond.
Not, but to build off what you were saying, Jimmy, I would also definitely like to visit Proxima Centauri. Oh my gosh. I mean, look at the exoplanets on there. Oh, it would, I would be so interested in seeing the central supermassive black hole in our galaxy as well. I mean, all of these things.
Well,
So,
but what about, and nobody has mentioned this.
but it's very possible
what
that
about-
around this black hole that aliens could possibly be mining exotic energies there. Could you imagine if we could see that? That'd be
What
great.
about astral projecting with a friend, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with your husband, with your wife, with your son, your
With your
daughter,
cats?
and
Preferably cats.
and doing that together? There's been a lot of practices and suggestions on how to do this, and many people say that they've done it, but that's what it's one thing to do it alone. I get that. I totally get it. You don't want to have to answer to somebody, right? And you're astral projecting and they want to go to Mars and you want to go to Toys R Us, right? And the two couldn't be further apart. And now you're fighting in the dream state and your two astral projections are not in harmony. But wouldn't it be great to astral project? And there's ways out there to connect the two heads. Let's get to the two minds.
Well,
was
hold on, Jimmy. In Robert Monroe's book Far Journeys, I don't know if you've read it. It's a great book. He says that everyone goes unconsciously to some ring gateways around the world. So people go together when they are in this state, either consciously or unconsciously. Have you read the book?
No, I have not. I have not. I mean, he's great, but I haven't read that book.
What's for those that are listening, it's called Far Journeys, and it talks about his astral projection experiences and what he goes through and kind of how to handle it if that ends up happening to you.
Jamie just said astral dating. That's pretty good. Okay, what's John's question here?
It says, Jimmy, how do you think general public would react to hearing confirmation that Mr. DeLong's view on this planet is not ours and interdimensional beings are here? ESP is real. War between good and bad beings. Yes. Also, Berlusconi studying UFOs.
Yeah,
I think of like a pastry when I read that.
Right. Well, in some places it is a pastry. He's an astronomer from the Vatican, Father Berlusconi. Okay, now see, John. Oh, well done, John. 35 smackaroos, right?
You sound like my dad.
35. So he can squeeze in 15 questions. Buying time. And well done. Okay, so I think that the public, I can answer most. Actually, all of this is one question. I really believe. I'm just going to say this. I was going to say a bad word. I'm not going to do it on the show, but I believe today that the planet really doesn't give a crap anymore, and what I mean by that is it's been a very effective play with the media, with movies, with television, with books, shows like yours, where the ancient aliens, whatever, it's been just out there so thick and laid on so thick for so long now that I just think everybody's been desensitized to the issue. Where if this happened, 15, 20 years ago, before the Vatican took their stance on this, and Berlusconi and others, including the media, and where it might have been a little bit more of a shock to the system. But I just don't think I don't think people really care. And the reason why they don't care is not only everything that I just mentioned, of course, but what I mean by that is science, school, knowledge, Nat Geo TV, Cosmos and the TV shows. And you have guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Greene and Sean Carroll and Michio Kaku and others, brilliant guys, all saying the same thing, that there's no way that we're alone in the universe. Life is everywhere. There's billions and billions and billions and billions of galaxies with trillions of stars and trillions of planets, where I think just anybody, whether it's a grandmother or a grandchild, understands now that we're not alone. How could we be? So I think that answers all of your questions right there, John, and I thank you for that.
I think that's a great question, and I think you answered it really nicely as well. Very linear.
It's the ayahuasca that I'm drinking.
I thought it was your dark coffee. See, I can't do it as cool as you. It just sounded really pathetic when I just said it.
Do you drink coffee?
I do.
Yeah,
I do drink coffee.
Are you drinking it now?
No, I'm drinking water, because if I drink coffee right here, I'll start shaking. No.
See, look, I'm going to let everybody know. Yes, this is coffee. I love my coffee, Doc. I do. On the air, right in front of me, it's this nice chilled bottled water with vitamin C poured in, and it's my vitamin C water drink. But on the air, this is kryptonite. I don't drink this on the air. I drink this in between stuff when I need to be healthy. I like my coffee, Doc.
Do you put sugar in it?
No. Nope.
So it's just like tar. Don't spit your coffee, please. There you go.
I practice what I preach.
Pitch it in. So where can we buy your coffee, Jimmy?
Let's go to my website. It's all there. I please. I don't want to pitch myself. That's not why I'm here, folks. But I just love that picture of me on the cover. Look at that dude. Look at that dude. Look at that. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. All right. I couldn't believe. I'm going to be straight when River Moon, because I'm such a coffee guy, and you go to these coffee stores and you go to these places and the coffee aisle and you're looking at all of this coffee and the labels and the creative stuff. And
It's
then
hard.
and the fancy, and I enjoy that. When River Moon sent me, this is a long time ago, but I get my first case of my coffee in the mail and I open it up. There's like 20 of these in there with my picture and it says, I almost lost it, man. I was like, it was unreal. It was so emotional. And I've not gotten tired of it. But I'm definitely getting tired of the short hair. I think I'm going to bozo out like Carrot Top and just let this thing go.
Are you going to dye it orange too?
Okay, so now let's get to near-death experiences.
Well, right before we get to that, talking about coffee, because just one more thing I want to state, is there really intelligent life out there? And that's only if they have noodles, vanilla ice cream, and coffee. Otherwise, they are not intelligent. It's not intelligent life. I don't want to be a part of it.
No, that's how our brains developed. So if you give up any of that, any one of those ingredients, we're going to go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Our brains are going to undevelop. You don't want to do that. You got to keep moving forward. You need to keep the sugar going, the ice cream going, the coffee going, and feed. Your brain is energy. It runs off electricity. You can't starve it of those key ingredients to life. Caffeine, sugar, Haagen-Dazs. You've got to keep your foot on the gas. That's it.
And the carbohydrates. Definitely need those.
Well, if you go and you study anthropology, you study evolution, you study the development of us as a species, and a few key things happened. But one of us where we had the burst in brain development was natural sugars, sugar cane, just anything that had high concentrations of natural sugars. And our brains started to work, and our brains told us eat more sugar. and that's all of a sudden we got the internet. It took about 40,000 years, but it wouldn't have happened without sugar and caffeine and chocolate.
Noodles.
Yeah, noodles, big play. That's how Tokyo was built for sure.
But back to near-death experiences. What did you want to say on that?
Is the similarities that we have with the near-death experience, and I don't want too many to focus on the fantastical part of it, the fantasy part of it. Trumpets blowing and angels and the gates of heaven and there was Jesus and God. Oh, right. Okay. Put that stuff aside because that all can be influenced through popular culture, reading the Bible, movies. You watched It's a Wonderful Life way too many times for Christmas.
I've never seen it.
Well,
I couldn't get over the soundtrack.
It's okay. So anyway, there's a whole nother part of this when somebody is dead, like Momo, dead, flatlined in an operating room, and is brought back 20 minutes later. Right?
I actually watched that.
and you had that happen to you? Okay,
No.
hold on. Hold on. And then the person says, it's not the white light at the end of the tunnel, right? Says, I heard you talking to the surgeon, the doctor. I heard you talking about what your kids had Captain Crunch for breakfast, right? And there's no way that dead like Momo, but the doctor knows that he was having a conversation with the nurse, right, about his kids eating too much sugar right, for breakfast. But how is it possible that somebody knows this? Now, it's not once. This has happened thousands of times. So you have those emergency room doctors and technicians that have witnessed this, that may have gone into life a little bit atheist-ish, right? And they hear something like this, and it happens to them more than once, where they have to back up, Cristina, and go, you know what? I need to really rethink my principles here and what life is actually about. That's the part of near-death experiences for me are the most fascinating. How somebody can say, I rose above the hospital room and I saw that nurse over there drop something on the floor, pick it up, wipe it off, and then hand it to the doctor like it was a clean scalpel. And you hear these stories, and that nurse knows that really happened. How could this dead person on the operating table that we're trying to resuscitate know that I picked a dirty scalpel up off of the floor? Nobody knew that but me, unless somebody actually saw it from above. You hear about these stories over and over again, Christine, over and over again.
I mean, that's 100% true from these stories. It's very consistent, but there's also quite a few fears attached to it as well for some people that have these kinds of outer body experiences. But before we get into that, if we still have time, Hard Candy, thank you so much. It says, either of you hear the story told by Dr. Greer, a military guy accidentally projected up into space, bumped into a craft, and inside it, beings were miffed. Is it miffed?
Yeah, that was me. So I projected up. It's Dr. Greer telling another story.
I haven't heard the story.
I like Dr. Greer. Look, if you go camping with you and your friends, right? And you need to make sure that you have the crazy ass uncle there to tell campfire stories. It's got to be Dr. Greer. You got to have Dr. Greer there. You got to have Dr. Greer. He's got to be that crazy uncle guy that can tell you stories until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and freak everybody out, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning go, I just saw something. Right? That's what you want.
I think we all have one of those uncles in like every single family.
Yeah. And in our family, in the UFO community, we got Dr. Greer. There. I said it. I like Steven. He's all right.
It's an interesting story. But it leads me to the question: if you're astral projecting, right, and you're not really made out of matter from the 3D realm, how are you able to bump into a craft, unless that craft might not be in this realm?
Well, but see, this is the thing. There's something to be said. No silver cord in an NDE. It's a good point.
Right. That is a good point.
There is one thing that I've heard multiple times, just like one specific thing, is that when you are remote viewing, when you are astral projecting, and you are there, sometimes they will notice you. They can't see you, but they can feel your presence, right? Where somebody is astral projected, they've gone around the world, they've been maybe led to and they go in, and then suddenly somebody turns and looks at them, right? But they can't see. You know what I mean?
I do. I've heard some stories like that.
I've heard this over and over again. So somebody astral projects into a flying saucer, and would they be miffed? Well, yeah. Would they see you? Don't know what version of the frequency of light spectrum that they are detecting things in. Okay, I don't know about that. But is it possible? We've heard this over and over and over again. I think you can sense when something like that is happening.
So it makes me wonder, if they do sense or someone senses an astral body, is it seen like a ghostly apparition? I mean, what do you think?
Isn't it all the same? And
I
okay,
don't think so.
well,
But you tell
not
me.
so
You tell
fast.
me, Jimmy.
Not so fast, grasshopper. Let's
Take the
back up
pebble from my hand.
right now. Right now, in that, I have gone back and asked the most seasoned of researchers on these subjects, whether we're talking about ghosts, entities, devils, demons, Bigfoot, high energy, fifth dimensional beings, ETs, every. I go, so what is it that's really going on? Is it energy? Or ghost energy? Is it electricity? Let's go. Everybody pretty much has the same answer. Whatever the subject may be, if I'm talking about Bigfoot or if I'm talking about a Civil War ghost in Gettysburg, right? That nobody really knows that it's probably energy that is being projected or has been recorded or is there. Right? And isn't that everything? Wouldn't we be confusing an angelic presence in front of us, right? Some energy angel that we think is an angel. Wouldn't somebody else consider that a ghost? Would somebody else consider that ET or a high energy being from Zeta Reticuli? Who's to say? Or is everything just the same? It's just not what we are here. That's all. That's all. I'm trying to figure this out, Christina. And the more that I look into this, and I keep coming back to the science, the science is pushing us into the paranormal, the supernatural, ET. All of this science is making us go in that direction, and I
It is.
firmly believe that the more that they try to prove to us about parallel worlds or 11 dimensions or string theory, time travel and entanglement, the more that they're trying to prove this through algorithms and numbers and trying to make the math make sense and start to answer their questions, the more that they are crossing the line into the paranormal and supernatural, because everything that they are trying to prove to us is what we have been yelling about for thousands of years. So is astral projection just a matter of science and trying to figure things out? I believe so. Is science, when they're talking about parallel worlds or extra dimensions or the multiverse, are they trying to tell us that in of itself is astral projection and time travel? Well, yeah. And they're about to hit head on.
And I'm looking forward to what that brings. Deborah, thank you again. It says recorded energies will, like beings recycled, Jimmy. Sorry, recorded energies like being recycled, Jimmy.
Yes. Well, yeah, but that's exactly what I'm saying. And there is, I'm looking at the clock. When do we have to wrap?
I am ready when you are.
Okay.
You just tell me.
All right. I'm going to squeeze this in because I do have a show tonight I got to get ready for. Is George Van Tassel said once that E.T. came to him, gave him some math, gave him a formula, and that formula showed him the reality of recorded time.
Mm-hmm.
And that everything that we do or say, everything on this planet is recorded. It's electronically stored. And we have the ability to go back and check it out. And that George Van Tassel, the way he said that he could only go back 6 years. That's it. But that was the technology that he had now. He could go back 6 years. But what if what George is talking about is what everybody else is talking about, right? And what we are seeing, ghosts and other things, are just merely, a video recording, a digital version of something that happened in the distant past. Yeah, makes sense, doesn't it? I'm just saying. I'm going to leave that right there for another show.
Jimmy, before you head out, who is your guest today?
Billy Carson.
Ooh.
Billy. Billy just got back from Egypt, and we talked quite a bit while he was there, and also after he got back. I got some secret information. We're going to talk about that tonight, but tonight's show is called The Halls of Amenti. Use your imagination, and what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's going to be a great show.
Well, I will be looking at that. I'll be there.
Oh, right on. It's going to be a great show. Billy is amazing. And just like, Eric Awakening Man last night, and Billy tonight, of course, tomorrow night we have Todd Standing on the show. These three guys and so many others that I know actually go out and visit these locations, and they're trying to figure stuff out. They're interviewing people, photographing, shooting video, and collecting this information, going out there and getting it done. And I'm really impressed with that. And Billy is a guy, he's been all around the world to all of these great sites, and he's trying to figure this out. And that's what he just did in Egypt for the last few weeks. He's back. Tonight we're going to talk about what he discovered.
Ooh.
Yeah, heavy.
And Todd Standing, I mean, that's going to be really interesting as well. I mean, all of his Bigfoot encounters he's had is insane.
Yeah, it's going to be a great week on the show. Last night with Awakening Man was too much fun. So Awakening Man and Ra. And so tonight, Billy Carson. Tomorrow night, Todd Standing. Thank you so much, Christina. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. But don't stop, okay?
Right back at you, Jimmy. Peace out. All right, that is the end of today's show. Please make sure to like this video, to share it, and to subscribe if you haven't already, because I am starting a new show called Strange Paradigms, which will be a new panel of guests talking about, well, strange things. So consider being a Patreon supporter, because all of the support, all the super chats make this show possible. So I want to say thank you to everyone once again. It's always fun to have these conversations. And remember, keep your eyes on the skies.